Well, welcome to the first edition of the Blakes Brothers Show. And I don't know about you, but I'm excited. I'm Robert Blakes.
And I'm Samuel Blakes, and I am equally as excited as my brother is.
You know, the reason I'm excited is because, I don't know, for some reason we have a tremendous social media following. And you, like me, hundreds, and I mean probably thousands of questions every day, or at least every year, thousands of questions in my inbox relative to relationships, life, and sometimes it's hard to really answer those questions, because with everything else we have going on. But now we have a platform where people can really reach out to us and we can actually respond, and the world can kind of, look into our heads.
Certainly. So what we're actually doing is we are choosing the questions that we feel will be most beneficial to the masses, things that many people deal with. And we are choosing those questions and choosing to answer those questions from our perspective, of course, in this particular forum.
Well, question number one, so we use our time wisely. The question I have today that I'm reading is, I'm a 30-year-old black woman. I believe I'm attractive and I work hard to keep myself in shape. But I often have trouble finding the right man to be in a relationship with. I don't have trouble attracting men. It's just, how do I find the perfect man in such a large pool of men? Please help me.
Wow. In looking at that question, the first word I would underline in that question is finding. It's really not your job to find a man. It's your job to make sure that you are a queen.
That's right.
And I think that if you are a queen, ultimately, the right man will find you.
Absolutely. And then another thing that I noticed as I read her question is that when she describes herself, she's talking about, I'm attractive, work hard, I keep myself in shape, but I often have trouble finding the right man. I think that even her valuation of herself is from a shallow perspective.
Right.
I think she's limited herself to her physical, to those things that are tangible, when her real value and worth lies in her intellect, her mind, her spirit.
Right.
And because if your perspective of yourself is shallow, even though you say the pool is large, it's a large pool of shallow men.
Certainly.
Because, when she sees herself a certain way, when she begins to understand her real worth from her core, it is then that you attract what you are. You don't really attract what you desire. You attract in life what you are. So we have to first begin to work on her consciousness.
Certainly.
Because her self-consciousness is too shallow. I need to know, what are your dreams, your goals? Who are you spiritually? And when she begins to see herself from that perspective, it's then that she's going to put out that kind of energy that can attract a man, that can appreciate. So because she sees herself from this limited perspective, it means probably that she's attracted to men who are limited and shallow.
Well, I think every woman needs to be conscious of the fact that the bait determines the catch.
Wow.
So whatever you're utilizing.
Break that down, because some people may not be fishing.
Well, if you are superficial, and if all of your emphasis is in what you look like on the outside, you will attract men who are only attracted to your outside. But if your value is understood, in your inner worth, you'll attract men who are attracted to your consciousness and not just your cosmetics, if you will.
That's a good one.
And
then, she says, how do I find the perfect man in such a large pool? Please help me. I'm a firm believer that it's a woman's job to be busy in terms of self-actualizing. If you're busy maximizing your potential, and if you're really content with who you are and becoming all that you can be, the right man, not the perfect man, because there's no such thing as a perfect man, but there's a man that's perfect for you.
Certainly.
He's not perfect, but he's perfect for you. That man will then identify you and find you. I think today, this is just my opinion, in this generation, women obsess entirely too much over when is he going to come?
Right.
And they go overboard in terms of selling themselves as though there's some used car on a lot,
Right.
waiting for the highest bidder.
Well, and I want to say this to you, sisters, please, 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 stop doing the things she just described. She talked about how she works out and, you know, she's got her physiology together and her physical person is in order. But, you know, do those things for you, not for the purpose of attracting a man.
Wow, that's
Do
good.
that for you, not for them. Certain things you do for yourself,
That's right.
not for a man.
You know, and then a quality man, a mature man, one that might become a husband, or one that is a husband, is a man that's always looking deeper than what she's described here.
Certainly.
So that's my take on that question.
I have a question. I have a question that comes from John B. He said, I married a wife 15 years ago. About 2 years ago, I married my wife 15 years ago. About 2 years ago, I met my wife 15 years ago. 2 years ago, I got married. I cheated on her with another woman. I apologized and went through therapy with our pastor. Since then, I've been faithful. I still look at women, but I don't touch, LOL. But my wife still doesn't trust me. I mean, I get it. I messed up. But at what point should she forgive me and let it go? I'm trying to hold on. But if she doesn't forgive me soon, I might have to end this marriage and move on. Should I stay or should I go? Wow.
Well, hey, you know, my perspective on matters like this is that you have to, if you created this, you cannot determine how the offended person, being his wife, responds. You cannot create time frames. You're clearly in a position where you have broken trust. And one of the hardest things in the world to repair is trust.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And whatever it takes to rebuild that trust, he's asking the question, you know, basically, how long should I continue? As long as you love her.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? As long as you love her.
Well, you cannot determine how long it takes me to repair.
That's exactly right.
You can't determine. I mean, you're the offender, and you can't tell the offended, you know, I need to snap out of it.
Yeah. Trust is a bridge that has to be built. It's not automatic. It's not because, you know, I mean well now. You have to demonstrate that. You have to show that. You have to rebuild. You have to really, you're starting below zero.
Yeah.
Because you have destroyed something. So you're really working to get back to even or back to zero.
Certainly.
And then once you get to zero, then you're working to build. So I think John B. is going to have to be patient and understand. He says he's still looking, but he doesn't touch. Laugh out loud. Hey. I don't know. John might need. We may need some more therapy.
Yeah.
Maybe outside of a pastor.
Yeah.
Because most pastors I know are not. You know, we have a biblical perspective, but we're not necessarily therapists in that sense. And I think John probably has some issues that he has to overcome relative to his hypersexuality. that you know, maybe a pastor's not equipped to help him to work his way through. And you know, I mean, I've been there. I've been a young man, and I'm assuming John is a young man. I would hope he's a young man.
Yeah.
You know, making these kinds of blunders.
And on the flip side of that, you know, I'd like to say something to the ladies too. You know, if you have chosen to stay with a man, there is a statute of limitations.
That's good.
on unforgiveness. You cannot stay with a man and, you know, continue. And flip side, not just ladies, but men. Men, you can't stay with a woman who you've chosen to remain with.
Good. That's good.
And continue to torture them for the next 20 years.
That's awesome. Now, you see, you really bring up a major issue there. sometimes a person that has been cheated on stays with the person,
Yeah.
even despises the person, and just makes the person's life a living hell, even after they've repented and,
Yeah.
and you know, done a reasonable amount of sentence to redeem themselves. If
Well, they want to give them a life sentence.
they want to give them a life sentence, you know. So if you get to the point where someone's cheated on you and, you know, it's 2-3 years down the road and the person has been trying and there's nothing new that's come up and you're still in the same place emotionally, you might just need to let them go, because you're at that point you're incarcerating them. So I've enjoyed this time today. I hope that you guys continue to send your questions, and we'll be sitting right here. We're sitting in our mother's home. This is where we spent our teenage years growing up, right here in this house, right here in this kitchen.
Yeah.
And so we'll be sitting here answering your questions. What do you want to say to people?
I look forward to it. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to be able to, just kind of commune with you guys and hear your hearts, and you can in turn hear our hearts. And we love you much.
God bless you. Have a great one.